What's going on, guys? This is me, Yasin, and this is going to be a Cyber Dragon Traps updated deck profile for the May or June, actually, I guess the format, whatever, but the ban list should be in a bit more than a month at this point. We actually, we don't really know if it's going to be before or after the YCS remote duel, but regardless, this is going to be pretty nice, and yeah, this deck is really good. I definitely do believe that this is by far the most optimal version of Cyber Dragons, and I'm also going to give you guys the side deck, and every single ratio or card that I'm going to be playing, I'm going to explain to you why I'm playing it. So before we start, friendly reminder to like and subscribe. Motivates me so much to keep making videos like these, and now let's jump right into it. So the first card that I'm playing is a Fantastical Dragon Phantasme. Honestly, right now, people are playing just too many Link monsters. Well, people really need to Link summon right now. People are playing Prank Kids, Dragon Link, a lot of decks. And literally, whatever deck you're playing, you're always going to not really lose to Phantasme, because it's not really like, oh wow, okay, yeah, your deck loses to Phantasme. It's more like your deck lets your opponent resolve Phantasme. Because the thing is, Phantasme, I'm not using it to hurt my opponent, but to help myself. Because I'm not playing any other actual hand traps. I'm really just trying to go for more consistency, and it's a +1. There's really nothing bad about it. It barely conflicts with Cyber Dragon, because this is like a one-of, and you really don't want to draw it anyways. Most of the time, you're really going to be going for core, and then playing from there, and then setting a bunch of traps. This is how you break boards going second, actually. So, Phantasme 3, for now, I think it definitely does make sense. My YCS top at Niagara was actually with main deck 3 Phantasme and 3 Super Poly, just FYI, but yeah. Alright, so now for the one-ups. 1 Cyber Dragon, 1 Nexter, and 1 Fear, no, sorry, 1 Fear, and then 1 Nexter. Again, if you're watching this and you live in the OCG, do not copy these ratios blindly, because Fear is useless and unplayable in the OCG. The reason for that is because it is treated as a quick effect, so your opponent actually has the opportunity to respond first, and then you can use Fear on Chainlink 3 after they hand trap your core, but in the TCG it's not the same thing. You can go normal summon core and then immediately chain the Fear, and then ask your opponent, okay, now do you have a response? And obviously their response can't really be anything too threatening, because at least this was completely protected since it was a chain link 1, and this is what you call chain blocking, essentially, and this is something that you can't easily do in the OCG because of the way effects function. Basically, quick effects against trigger effects. We have them as trigger effects, like Fear and Phantasme, whereas in the OCG it's actually a quick effect, sorry. But yeah, and it has a decent effect where you can also kind of special summon it for free and then make a link 2 and gain 500 attack and defense for each cyber monsters. But to be fair, the main reason why you're playing this really is so you can have 2-card combos into Anaconda and to Rampage, and then get your engine going, and also chain block. So that's pretty much it. And next turn, you really need to play it. You can't really say, oh yeah, but I don't like the card, I'm just not gonna play it. The reason why you have to is because it revives back Rampage, and there are just way too many plays that require you to have an extra in your deck. Not really in your hand. You never really have to hard draw this card unless your combo is really specifically Puzzlomino into Nova and then Infinity. I have covered this multiple times in the past. I actually have so many combo videos, but I'm never going to stop making more Cyber Dragon combo videos, because this is pretty much what I'm about. This is my favorite deck of all time, literally, as you can probably tell, as you can easily tell by my logo, my freaking picture, and hold on, what else? Actually, I already said picture. Where is it? Oh my god, this is beautiful. You look at this, man. Only on, what's the name of my merch store again? I actually have no idea, but buy my merch, it's in the description. And, alright, anyways, so we're playing Called by the Grave 2 Hertz. By the way, notice how I didn't actually explain core, because it's way too obvious. Like, who the frick would not play 3 core? Nobody. But yeah, anyways, 2 Hertz, because I'm not playing Galaxy Soldier or Forbidden Droplet, so this card's just really clunky in the hand. It just sits there and doesn't really do anything. So at 2 is definitely pretty much optimal, I guess I want to say. And then obviously triple emergency, because you want to play as many copies of core as possible. The majority of the time you're searching core, but when you already have core, you're probably searching Fear just to ensure that your core is resolving. So notice, again, the theme of the deck, resolve core as much as you possibly can. It's pretty much like Electrum, Pendulum back in the days. Make as many Electrums as you can. Just keep playing. Stick to the game plan, man. Stick to the game plan. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Then 3, Proud Prosperity. Now, honestly, I want to say something. The majority of people, when they use Prosperity, they have valid reasons to banish 6, but for me, I can't think of a single argument to banish 6, because if you banish 6, you pretty much have to give up on cards that you really need, unless you're randomly siding out punishment. Then you have 3 more cards that you can afford to banish, or even, you can always banish the Merkaba, you can easily banish Infinity, Nova, and Panzolomino, but the thing is, I still want to banish 3 just so I can resolve multiples in one game. Makes sense, but yeah. Alright, Overload and Cyberload, again, I'm not really going to explain them because they are really part of the core strategy of the deck. So Cyberload is a Cyber Speller Trap, so it is searchable by Overflow and Core. And Overload is technically not searchable, but it's still a fusion spell card, so you can send it with Anaconda and then summon Rampage that way. So this is the reason why all of a sudden people are playing Overload even when they weren't before. It's because it went from being an unsearchable 0 to 3 of to now a searchable card, so... Well, again, a searchable card. You don't get it from your deck to your hand, you send it from the deck to the graveyard to apply its effect. And this is good enough, honestly. Gets your engine started, it's pretty good. Just Rampage, honestly, is the main goal of this deck. Summon Rampage so you can send the Hertz and then the Core, recycle back the Core, and then you get a flow of engine going, and you can just keep playing for several turns again and again and again. Anyways, 3 Ice Dragon's Prison. This card is just overall really good. It doesn't target and it doesn't destroy, so it outs Dragoon. Now you might be thinking, oh well, they can just negate this with Dragoon, so it doesn't really matter. Well, your opponent has to discard 1 card, and then if you have another copy of Ice Dragon's Prison or Trap Trick, you know for a fact that you can out Dragoon because this card actually reads you can only activate 1 Ice Dragon's Prison per turn, and Dragoon negates the activation. It doesn't say you can only use 1 Ice Dragon's Prison per turn, so you can just use a second copy right after. Your opponent would already have wasted the effect negation of Dragoon, and then this will successfully resolve. So not only do you get rid of their Dragoon, but also they had to get rid of a card in their hand in the first place. So drawing 2 or even 3 copies of this card sometimes really isn't too bad. It's pretty good. Torrential Tribute is really just insane, I want to say. It's really good going first for obvious reasons, but going second, it's really insane because people still don't expect Torrential Tribute, and when you are at the very low level of competition, people have absolutely no idea how to play through back row when they already made their established boards going first. They get really cocky and they say, whatever, you need like the best traps. But honestly, you don't need a lot of traps to break boards. You just need the right amount of traps. So Punishment, for example, is a 1 for 2. You get rid of 2 cards with it. Torrential is a 1 for X. So either 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, sometimes even more. They have stuff in the extra monster zone and stuff. Overflow can definitely destroy a bunch of cards, especially with Fear being a level 4, so you get 1 extra level of popping. And Ice Dragon's Prison is technically a 1 for 1, but it's such a powerful 1 for 1, it's such a versatile one that you really have to play it. And to be fair, it can actually be a bit more than a 1 for 1 sometimes, because you're also removing a resource from their graveyard on top of their field. So it's actually technically a 1 for 2 depending on the situation again. But yeah. Anyways, then we also have 3... Oh yeah, actually, I forgot to explain why I'm only playing 1 Trap Trick, because I really don't want to explain why I'm playing 3 Overflow. Again, it's way too obvious, it's an engine starter. You really want to pop this or draw it so you can get your stuff banished, which will obviously allow you to use the Cyberload Fusion, and then summon Rampage, which again is the theme of the deck. But the reason why I'm only playing 1 Trap Trick is because I'm actually playing more non-normal trap cards now, and I'm not really playing Compose like I used to. So Crackdown, Solemn Strike, and Unending are not searchable by Trap Trick. And this card definitely is bricky. If you draw multiple Trap Tricks, you can't use them all, because I don't think a single human being is stupid enough to negate a Trap Trick. They won't do that. They will let the Trap Trick resolve, and then they'll negate whichever trap card you set with Trap Trick. But they won't actually just negate the Trap Trick, because if you draw 2 or 3 Trap Tricks, and you set them, and your opponent doesn't negate Trap Trick, then if they negate the trap card, you can't use the other Trap Trick, since they did unfortunately successfully activate, which kinda sucks. But yeah, that's just how it is sometimes. I definitely bricked on this card a few times. But the thing is, the deck is so much more consistent now that you can afford to play less Trap Tricks. There used to be a point where I had to play 3 Heavy Storm Duster, 3 Overflow, and 3 Trap Trick if I want to get my engine as, started as fast as possible, but thankfully things are just no longer like that, which is really good in a way. Yeah, obviously 3 Punishment, this card is really good. You really don't have to specifically summon from the extra deck every single turn. This deck is... how can I really put it? It's a mid-range deck that can OTK when it has the opportunity to do so, and when you feel like it is a good reason to... when it is a good idea to actually kill your opponent. But when you shouldn't, it's just another control deck where you just break your opponent's board and then grind them out and stuff like that. But yeah. And then obviously 3 Crackdown. This card is just so much better because now when you steal your opponent's monster, you can link off into Lina and then revive back something, a light. Everybody plays lights. And then crash, and then you can search your core because what a coincidence, it actually has exactly 1500 defense, and Lina can search any light that has 1500 defense or less. So if the core had 1600 or more defense, I would have been really angry, but it doesn't. So I'm actually pretty happy. Like Fear, for example, this guy, you see this guy, 1600. Yo, what a no. Core is where it's at, man. Anyways, Unending Nightmare. This card will always be good. I mean, what can I say? It pops your own overflow, it gets your engine started. It's just really good, and it also is good against your opponent. But if you draw too many Unendings, it starts doing absolutely less than nothing. It does have diminishing return value when you play multiples, which unfortunately does suck because the thing is you only need one Unending Nightmare to pop multiple cards. It's not a once per turn card, it's a once per chain card for the physical copy of it, but if you draw like multiples, really doesn't do too much. Anyways, so 3 Solemn Strike, yeah, pretty good, and that's it for the main deck. Again, the Solemn Strike is really obvious because it's really good going second, and you're not really trying to go first, but if you do, it's also pretty decent. For the extra deck, sorry, not the side deck, Chimera Tech Mega Fleet, Merkaba, because they can Maximus to send the Nova, and you're going to be able to summon this, and you obviously have to play Nova because you're playing Puzzlemino and Infinity in this build, but you don't have to. You can definitely afford to not play them, and play more, just, I don't know, fusion monsters, more links and stuff like that. But yeah. Chimera Tech Fortress Dragon, this is good against the Infinite Track Machina deck, but that's kind of all I can think of, honestly. 2 Rampage, yeah, Merkaba, I guess, but it's not really good. Merkaba can negate core, and you can't go normal core, no effect, it's mandatory. But anyways, 2 Rampage, 2 Elder Entity Entis because of punishment, Wind Pegasus at Ignister, just so you have a bit more variety in the cards that you can send. And then Infinity Nova with Puzzlemino. There obviously, again, are multiple combos on how to use this efficiently. Then Seeger, Lina, Anaconda, and Relinquished Anima. No reason to play Linkuriboh, really. Relinquished Anima is just so much better. And because of the Master Rule 5, you don't really need the zone that Linkuriboh actually gives you. So yeah, you can just make a Relinquished Anima and then still make your Contact Fuse monsters, for example, in the main monster zone. It really doesn't matter, but yeah. Anyways, for the side deck now, 3 Nibiru. This card is really good against any rogue deck, honestly, in general, because they usually aren't resilient enough to keep playing through Nibiru, and people definitely do get cocky. So this, you can also draw it with Phantasme, which is good, and also has quite a lot of synergy with Phantasme. There's actually a 2-card combo that's actually funny, where you can Phantasme Chilling 1 and then Nibiru Chilling 2, so your opponent loses everything on their board, you summon Nibiru and then you summon Phantasme, you draw 1, so you still have 4 cards in the hand and then 2 on field. Your opponent has a useless token and attack, whatever, he passes turn, and then you make Lina, you revive back a light monster from their grave, you crash on the Nibiru token, you search core, main phase 2, normal summon core, search, and yeah, you have like 6 cards in your hand, your opponent lost everything, and you're doing pretty well. You have 2 monsters on the field, yeah, you're already up to a +2 and your opponent's like minus 10 billion. So Nibiru is actually pretty nice in conjunction with Phantasma in order to make the Lina, since you only need at least 1 light attribute, and what a coincidence, this is a light attribute. Anyways, 3 Lancia, again, pretty good card, 2 Lightning Storm, 1 Harpy's Feather Duster for those annoying back row decks. Alright, Heatwave, pretty interesting one. At the start of the main phase 1, neither player can normal or special summon effect monsters until your next draw phase. So in other words, if your opponent forces you to go first, you just activate this, you set a bunch of trap cards, and then you pass turn, your opponent really cannot OTK you, regardless of how ridiculously powerful his hand is. Which is really, really, really important, but yeah. And that's pretty much it. Heatwave is just a really good card in case people are playing really aggressive decks. You don't have to play this. There are a lot of other alternatives. You can play more hand traps, for example. You can play D-Shifter. I'm just not a big fan, but it kind of does end up doing the same thing in a way. But yeah, and then there is Evenly Matched for those back row decks. But actually, Evenly Matched, you can also kind of argue, you can also play it against the combo decks, it's just not as good. But yeah, anyways, that's pretty much it for this video. Thank you very much for watching, guys. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Motivates me so much to keep making videos like these, and I will see you next time. Peace.